My child with Jeremy Smith needed a kidney transplant, and I was the only compatible match. Without hesitation, I agreed to donate my kidney to save our child. But when the surgery was over, Jeremy broke down in tears. "Laura," he said, his voice choked with grief, "the surgery didn't work. We lost a baby." I screamed and cried like someone out of their mind in the hospital, and the doctors had no choice but to sedate me. When I woke up, Jeremy thought I was still unconscious from the anesthesia. He spoke freely to the doctor, unaware I could hear every word. "Mr. Sheehan," the doctor said, clearly struggling with what to say, "you gave Laura's kidney to Carol's child. But how could you let your baby die?" Jeremy's voice was cold, emotionless. "I promised Carol I'd protect her and her child, no matter what." The doctor hesitated. "But her baby was only 5 months old. And yours with Laura was 3. Jeremy cut him off sharply. "I'll tell Laura we can adopt another child. Dispose of the body properly. And while Laura is still recovering in the hospital, make sure the sterilization procedure is done." The doctor was stunned. "Mr. Sheehan, your child with Miss George is gone. There's no threat to Carol anymore. Isn't sterilizing Laura going too far?" But Jeremy's next words froze my blood. "I have to eliminate all threats. What if Laura refuses to adopt and insists on having another child herself?" The doctor tried to reason with him. "Mr. Sheehan, I must remind you this will severely weaken her body. She just had a kidney removed." There was a pause. Then Jeremy sighed. "I don't have a choice. I want to make sure the child comes into the Sheehan family. She'll have to endure it. I'll make it up to her later, but she can't be allowed to get pregnant again." The doctor shook his head in resignation and left to prepare for surgery. Just then, Jeremy's phone rang. He answered on speaker. His assistant's voice came through clearly. "Mr. Sheehan, Ms. Louise's child is recovering well. When would you like to proceed with the adoption paperwork for the orphanage?" Another dose of anesthetic coursed through me. I didn't hear anything else he said after that. But I didn't need to. He had told me our child was in critical condition, and that I was the only one who could donate a kidney. But when I woke up, he told me the surgery had failed, and our baby was gone. Because the kidney I gave went to Carol Louise's child. To Jeremy, my child and I were nothing more than obstacles in his way. By the time the surgery ended, the anesthesia had worn off. When I woke up, Jeremy was sitting by my bedside. His eyes held the same warmth and concern as always. But it was all a lie. It was all an act to keep me from suspecting the truth. "Laura, you're finally awake. Are you in any pain?" I didn't answer. I just stared at him. I wanted to scream, to demand the truth, but I couldn't. My silence unsettled him. He took my hand, his expression full of sorrow. "Laura, I know this is hard, but there was nothing we could do." Then, the medication from the second surgery kicked in. A burning pain seared through my lower abdomen, like fire ripping me apart. I felt like I was being sliced open while still conscious, blood gushing beneath me. Jeremy pretended to panic. "Laura, what's wrong?" He called for the doctor, and I passed out from the pain. When I opened my eyes again, Jeremy's eyes were red, his shoulders trembling as he clutched a medical report. He looked at me, grief etched all over his face. "Laura," he said, his voice heavy with sorrow. "The doctor said the surgery caused severe internal bleeding. They tried everything, but you won't be able to have children anymore." He reached for my hand gently. "Once you're discharged, let's adopt a child, okay? Having a little one around might help you heal." I was the one who had lost the ability to bear children. Yet somehow, he looked more heartbroken than I felt. His performance was flawless, but I didn't bother to call him out on it. After a long silence, I looked at the report in his hands and slowly nodded. I didn't ask him anything about the adoption. Seeing how understanding I was, Jeremy teared up and pulled me into a hug, holding me tightly. He turned down the nurse who came to help me clean up, insisting on doing it himself. He brought warm water and carefully wiped away the bloodstains from my body. By the time he was done, it was already late into the night. "Laura, are you still in any pain?" he asked softly. I shook my head and reached up to touch the stubble on his chin. "You haven't slept at all, have you?" "I'm fine now. Why don't you rest for a bit?" Jeremy didn't think much of it. He relaxed and quickly drifted off to sleep. I waited until his breathing evened out before quietly picking up his phone. The wallpaper was still our wedding photo. The passcode was still our anniversary. The irony was bitter. I opened WhatsApp, and the first thing I saw was a photo of Carol holding a child. Carol was in this very hospital, and her child was alive, thriving, with my kidney. The more I scrolled through their messages, the colder I felt. Back when I was pregnant, Jeremy was constantly away on business. I could count on one hand the number of days he spent with me. I didn't want to distract him from work, so I went to every prenatal appointment alone. Even after our child was born, Jeremy was rarely around. Now I knew the truth. Those business trips were just a cover for him to be with Carol and her daughter. Thousands of photos filled their chat every moment of her pregnancy. Every milestone documented. He was with her at every doctor's visit, never leaving her side, his eyes filled with adoration, as if she were carrying something precious beyond measure. After every checkup, he'd give her a lavish gift. "You made it through another appointment safely. We have to celebrate," he'd write. Meanwhile, all I ever got was, "Laura, thank you for everything. I have to go to a meeting now." They even had a separate album just for their daughter, filled with pictures capturing every little moment. And my baby, left to grow cold in a hospital morgue. The difference between being loved and not loved was painfully, unmistakably clear. I put the phone down numb. That night, I bought a plane ticket to leave the country in a few days and began the process of canceling all my legal documents here. I reached out to my older brother, Alvin George, who lived overseas, and asked him to keep it all a secret from our parents for now. He didn't press me for answers, just assumed I was planning a surprise visit. Lying on my back, I stared blankly at the ceiling. The hospital room was so quiet, I could hear my heart breaking. Jeremy handled my discharge paperwork and even brought a strawberry cake. He told me it was a special treat for the kids at the orphanage. I pretended not to know anything and simply smiled and nodded. He remembered exactly what Carol's child liked to eat, yet somehow always forgot that our child was allergic to mangoes. I closed the bag, put the cake in the back seat, and pretended to be sick before closing my eyes. After 3 years of lies, it was finally time to put an end to them. I had already asked a lawyer to draft the divorce agreement. The moment we stepped into the orphanage, a little girl came running up and hugged Jeremy's leg like it was the most natural thing in the world. She beamed and kept calling him Dad. Jeremy's expression shifted for a second. Probably afraid I'd get suspicious, he quickly said, "Laura, the Sheehan family sponsors this orphanage. I come by often to visit the kids. You can see how familiar they are with me." I nodded and didn't press the issue. I just smiled and gently touched the little girl's cheek. "She looks a lot like you. If you hadn't said anything, I'd have thought she was yours. What's her name?" "Her name's Sheila. She's the one I was thinking we could adopt." Before he could say anything else, Sheila burst into tears and started calling for her mommy. Jeremy immediately went pale and looked at me nervously, his brows furrowed. "I'm fine," I said softly. "Kids at orphanages usually have trouble feeling secure. Go comfort her. She's beautiful. I like her too." My words seemed to put him at ease. Without another thought, he picked Sheila up and carried her into the office. I told him I needed to use the restroom and slipped away. I'd tried so hard to keep it together, but seeing it with my own eyes was still too much. After wiping away my tears, I started walking toward Jeremy's office. But just as I reached the door, I stopped in my tracks. I heard a familiar voice inside. "Carol, once Sheila gets placed with the Sheehan family, you won't have to worry about anything anymore. If you need anything, just text me. Here, this is a gift for you." Jeremy handed her a beautifully wrapped box.